It was another loss for the Leafs against the Blue Jackets, but was it all that bad? Plus, are we looking to see a potential trend of them going upwards, especially with the Canadiens next on tap? We'll talk about that here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your daily Maple Leafs-centric podcast hosted by myself, David Morassutti. And for the final time, Mike will not be on this show. He is cruising. Should be back next week. So it is a call to the minors. I wouldn't call it the minors, man, because he's been on the show before. He's a pro at this. He even got me to wear a hat today. I said he couldn't be the only one wearing a hat. It's my boy from Offside Hockey Talk. If you are not following him on social, you are missing out. This guy is giving you some great Leafs content. James, welcome back to the program.
Always great to be on Locked On Leafs. I'd like to step in and help out wherever I can. And when you make the call, I'll come a day later because I was supposed to be here yesterday.
It's all good because you know what? The bigger game is tomorrow night. We're recording this on Friday night. The game tomorrow is a little more important, but that doesn't mean the game against the Columbus Blue Jackets was irrelevant. There's still a lot of relevance to talk about. It was a loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs, losing in overtime 3-2. But this is the trend we've been seeing, I think, since Chicago. And funny enough, it's been since Joseph Woll has returned. That these have been, yes, close games, but these have been games that the Leafs have looked much better, start to finish. Yes, there are still issues that this team is still currently working through. But I still feel like that these are games that they have looked a lot better in than, last week when they looked absolutely uncompetitive, right, against the LA Kings. And that felt like a bit of a shift, right? Obviously, Joseph Woll comes back. Your goaltending gets stabilized a little bit there. You start getting a little bit healthier with Scott Laughton coming back against the Blue Jackets. You saw a little bit of that impact. Easton Cowan coming back seems to have brought a bit of a jolt to this group. So, James, while everything is kind of seen as negative, and man, listening to the talk shows, it's been a lot of that. But can we look at anything positive that has shown up these last, especially from that loss against Columbus?
Well, if you know me, I'm usually anything but the positive side. I love being on that side of things because it's easy to be negative. It's easy to say this sucks and this guy's garbage and that's garbage, rah, rah, rah. No, the positives here are Scott Laughton came back and he looked like he can have an impact on this team. Quillan looks like a player that can have an impact on this team, playing with some energy, poise, forecheck. He's physical. He's great on that. Easton Cowan comes in. He's getting JT the puck. He's battling. A lot of people saying, is this guy put on a little poundage? This guy looks a little stronger on his skates. There's lots of positives to draw. The big positive is having that guy that's making key saves at key times. That's my favorite saying. But Joe Woll has been doing it since he's come back. It's been a 3-game sample size, but it's stabilized that position. Now, the defense, we're still running Stetchers and Mermises and guys that are banged up. You're still missing your Carlos, your Tanevs. So that is going to stabilize itself when those players get back. But right now you're trying to tread water and hold the fort. And I think these guys are getting it done. And again, the forward group, you're going to need your Matthews back, your Matthew Nyes back. There's guys that are playing in positions that shouldn't be. Calle Jarnkrok is not your number one guy for your top line. He should not be up there. Easton Cowan, he looks great, and I've said he should be a top 6 guy. But there are tons of positives to draw from. And we're using these as building blocks. And people say, well, how can you say that? Well, look at the Maple Leafs won a game, which is something they haven't done in a little while. They got another point out of the Columbus game, which is just take the positives and build from them. And that's what we need right now. Opposed to the sky is falling, it is not falling. Right now,
look,
we'll get guys back and things will go where they need to go.
Exactly. that's the thing, right? You are going to get guys back. You're not going to be trolling out the lineup. They've been like, the fact is, Max Domi is not the viable second line center. Actually, Scott Laughton looked more like a viable second line center than Max Domi did, right? Jacob Quillan has looked pretty good. What I like about Quillan is he's bringing a bit of speed, right?
Yep.
That speed element that this team has just lacked the speed. Like Dakota Joshua, not very fast. Calle Jarnkrok, he's not meant to be fast. He's meant to be more of a position guy. But again, you're starting to see what I'd like to see from the Cowans and the Quillans is when the other guys get back healthy, and I'm talking about, Matthews and such, there's a little more of a conversation about these guys sticking around than some of these veterans who just, in my opinion, haven't brought enough, right? Like, we went into that Columbus game. Calle Jarnkrok was supposed to be the top line left winger with Tavares and Nylander. That didn't last long because guess what? It was Easton Cowan that took that spot, and he played
Rightfully so.
over 20 minutes. Now, I'm sure part of that also was overtime, playing the overtime. But Easton Cowan, like if I'm the Leafs right now, as easy as it would be to send him down and all those roster moves, there are other guys who are just not they're not fitting the bill right now. I would be throwing them on waivers before I even look at sending a Cowan or a Quillan back down.
I'm a big play the players that'll help you win kind of guy.
Yep.
And a Sammy Blais, to me, I'm sorry. I know he had the nice assist and all that stuff. He's not a player that helps you win.
No.
He's a great roster filler guy here and there, but he's not an every night guy. Calle Jarnkrok, sorry. I beat the Calle Jarnkrok drum so much that it's worn out. And obviously, he's kind of worn out his welcome here, too. There's just no place for him. That player, Sammy Blais, even Stevie Lorentz, everybody loves Stevie. We all do. But at the same time, is he bringing something more than maybe a regular Cowan, a regular Robertson, or a regular Quillan brings to this team? I don't think so. So if you have to start moving some of those veteran guys out, I'm fine with it. Even a Max Domi, at this point, I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? What do you do here? And I love Domi. Got a jersey of Domi. I love the player. Very happy that he was here, that he decided to extend here. But that's a player I'm like, what are we doing here? But again, it goes back to what I just said to you a couple minutes ago. When players come back, guys will be slotted where they belong. And I really do think that'll help guys figure out their identities. Right now, they're just all over the place trying to make it work.
Yeah, no, and that's really what it is, right? They're trying really hard to get certain players to work within this lineup right now, and it just hasn't worked. On the other side, let's talk about maybe some of those things the Leafs can do to try to get themselves back on track, especially some of the players that haven't been playing up to snuff. And hopefully, maybe we'll get some more injury positivity coming for this team. We'll discuss that next year on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401k, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. And it organizes everything into one app, and that's what I like. You don't have to go through all these different apps, create all these spreadsheets. It tracks it all for you together in one place. And if you are working with a partner, you can see your shared goals and even make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money is going and how to make it work harder for you. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKDOWNNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com code LOCKDOWNNHL for half off your first year. Today's show is also brought to you by Doer. I've heard a lot of great things about Doer jeans, and I've actually been enjoying wearing mine. Not only that, but the shirt as well. The performance denim is a great investment for those looking for jeans that have more performance in them. And Doer jeans do just that. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They're antibacterial, meaning your jeans stay fresh longer so you can wear them more and wash them less. And they're made with Cool Max that regulate your body temperature and wicks moisture. It helps you keep you cool and comfortable as temperature changes. And Doer jeans feel stretchy without looking stretchy. The last thing you want is you don't want the tear in the thigh. You want the comfort. It's almost like you're wearing your favorite pair of synthetic joggers, but they look like you're dressed to go out on the town. Doer combines classic jean wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. Best of both worlds. Designed to look great and stay comfortable all day, no matter what you're doing. Doer are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. You can check them out in Toronto here. It's at 44 Ossington Avenue. Pick up a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Mention our promo code LOCKEDONTORONTO in store to get 15% off your first order, or you can check them out online, doer.ca/LockedOnToronto for 15% off. That's doer.ca/LockedOnToronto. Want to welcome you all back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I had to take the hat off. Too much of a glare from people don't get to see my beautiful face when I am wearing that hat. So you got me at least for a segment with that, James. And James here joined me from Offside Hockey Talk. You can go and follow him on X and wherever, and also on Instagram too. I've been seeing you've been posting that IG content.
Well, yeah, trying to work the IG angle a little bit. TikTok's my spot though.
TikTok is the spot. I'm not as much of a TikTok user, but I'm probably gonna have to get on there a bit more. And look, there's probably been a lot of Leaf takes happening on the TikTok, as one of my Italian friends likes to call it. One of them being, and I was listening to it especially on the radio. Man, there are some people who have it out for Morgan Rielly right now, and I get it. The guy has not been a Norris caliber defenseman. I'm not even going to argue that.
Though.
Points wise, he is bringing it each and every game. But there's, on a goal, you do see there, maybe out of position late to a guy. But I think this is also what's been plaguing the entire team defensively, trying to do too much. Yep. And then when you try to do too much, you tend to get yourself caught out of position, not communicating, or you don't want to be super aggressive, so you fall back and you get burned. Nobody knows that better than Max Domi right now about that. We'll talk about that in a second here. But the Rielly conversation, I wanted to have this first. And I like the thing I found funny. Somebody's like, would the Leafs consider doing a Rielly for Darnell Nurse straight up? And I'm like, you want a worse defenseman than Morgan Rielly right now?
At more cap.
Also, yeah, what's Nurse at over $9 million a year?
Yeah. No.
Edmonton aiming that salary, guys. Like, it's not happening. I think it. I also wonder, because of the comments that Brad Treliving made about Morgan Rielly, was there more of a target put on his back with those comments?
I mean, why wouldn't there be, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you said that you held him accountable, that you held his feet to the fire. You wanted a change. You wanted him to come in basically more prepared, more ready and everything. On the offensive side of things, he is. But also for me, starting this season, Brendan Carlo didn't look himself, and that's supposed to be his stabilizing rock on the back end while he does his Morgan Rielly-esque kind of things. So maybe that is played into the defensive play of Morgan Rielly trying to compensate for whatever was missing out of Carlo's game if he was nicked up, which now we know he is, and it's long-term. So he obviously was playing through something. So that obviously impacts Rielly's game. One thing that me and you have talked about over the years here too is when Rielly has to cycle through different partners, it also affects his game. So not knowing where your guy's going to be, not having that continuity all the time. And we thought, hey, it's going to be great. Him and Carlo start the season. Everything will run good between those two, and they'll work well. That, to me, is the problem. Trading Morgan Rielly is not the answer. Is he a number one? No. Is he a number one on the Toronto Maple Leafs? Yes. He's the guy that gets you the points. He's the guy who can move the puck. If you minus Morgan Rielly out of your lineup, you are losing a guy who can wheel the puck, who can skate out of trouble, can do these things. But what we've needed so long for Morgan Rielly is a stabilizing partner. We all thought it might have been Tanev. It wasn't. That didn't work. That's fine. McCabe and Tanev as a tandem is great to me. But Carlo looks like he will be that guy. Maybe when he's back healthy, we'll see the Morgan Rielly we need. But right now, Toronto always needs to have that one player that ends up being the guy that we all say, that's the problem. We need him out of town. So it's happened every single year, from Jake Gardner to you name it. Go down the lineup. There's always a guy every single
Ron
year.
Hainsey. Man, there was a veteran that played with Rielly during the playoffs in 2016. I'm trying to remember who that was in the Washington series.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Was it Hunwick? Matt Hunwick?
Matt Hunwick. There's always a guy that they pick, though. It doesn't matter what season it is.
And people are just like, no matter who. I listen to some of these comments. It's no matter who they try. Who have they really tried? Like, who is Morgan Rielly?
His caliber, though, that understands what Morgan Rielly's game is. They don't have that guy. It was the Hainseys, it was the Hunwicks that understood that they needed to stay from the blue line back and let Rielly be able to be kind of a rover. So whoever understood that, and that's why it works so well with Luke Shen. Because Luke Shen understood.
That was the best Morgan Rielly ever looked, was when Luke Shen was in town.
Because that guy understood where he needed to be. He was the blue line and back guy. Don't go up too far. Don't cheat. Let Rielly do his thing. And he was back to be defensively responsible. And then Mo could get back and break up whatever else he needed to. That is what's missing right now. And that's why there's warts on Morgan Rielly, because he's trying to not only do the offensive part that he's been tasked to do, but he's now trying to make up for the defensive woes that are left by not having a Carlo or whoever his partner may be on any given night. So, yeah, I think Morgan Rielly chatter should calm down, because when Carlo's back and healthy, I think that pairing's going to be great.
Yeah, and your dog certainly agrees with that too. So I don't blame him on that one. Max Domi, he's the other one I want to have the conversation about, because he's obviously taken so much flack for what happened with the overtime goal. And look, it wasn't a great time for him. Obviously, he has a turnover with Jake McCabe where he tries to feed a puck that's just not there. And then you've got, Adam Fantilli has got to step on him, but also he's not thinking Adam Fantilli was going to take that stride, apparently. I think that was kind of a bad read on his part. But I think this is just now starting to compress into everything that's gone with Max Domi. Only has 6 points this year, so he's not putting up points. He's back to playing center, which we know is it's not ideal for him. His production has never really been there, except for the time where he was playing the third line center role with McMahon and Robertson. So my question to you is, where do the Leafs go here with Max Domi? What is, like you talked about it, like if a team maybe were to offer you something today for Max Domi, are you taking it? Also depending on what you're offering, obviously. Like, let's say they're offering to take him off your hands for little to nothing just to get the salary off the books.
It hurts me to say, yeah, I probably am at this point. And the reason is you have other guys who can step in and have an impact positively. The Domi name in Toronto is hard because no matter what, he's expected to play with a certain amount of aggression, stick up for his teammates, but he's also known for a little bit of offensive flair, so that needs to be there. So he's a guy that habitually forces plays because he's trying to get in to all of those categories that everybody wants to put him in. When Max Domi is at his best, it's when Max Domi is playing and having fun and hitting and chirping and doing all that stuff. You can tell right now he's put a lot of pressure on himself, but so has the organization because of the injuries. And it's really manifesting on the ice to me because it's the passes into the lanes that he shouldn't be making because he doesn't make those passes. That's not his game. It's the extra stride. It's the extra aggression, the extra penalty. I'm going to pop a guy and I'm going to take 2 minutes for roughing, or those little things that all add up in the game. But that's a little bit extra that he's trying to bring because he feels he needs to bring it a bit more. So, yeah, if a team came knocking and said, hey, I want this guy, or I'll give you this to take that salary off your books, I think you, if you're the Leafs, you look at it and say, yeah, because he's not working at center, so it's not like you're losing another center, in my opinion. You have Scott Laughton, you have Stevie Lorenz who can do it, you have John Tavares, Austin Matthews, you have other guys in your system that can play center as well. So, yeah, long-winded answer, I would definitely take something from another team for Max Domi. And that kind of pains me because I'm excited for when Max Domi is Max Domi on this team, like in the playoffs against the Senators. We all love that. Nobody in Leafs Nation can say they didn't. And he was well suited for the Maple Leafs in the playoffs.
Yeah. Here's what Craig Berube had to say about Domi after the game last night. Inconsistency in and out. He does some good things. I am trying to think of the game I liked a couple of games ago. I met with him when we talked about it. I thought we got a good competitive game out of him. He needs to stay competitive, in my opinion, on every shift. We need him to be better. And then speaking about the overtime play, yeah, he forced the puck. He didn't need to at 3-on-3. It's not a real opportunity. It's not a real opportunity the other way. We want to hang on to pucks and keep possession. He forced it. So this is obviously a coach that starting to show a little bit of maybe frustration, the fact that he's had conversations with Domi. He has shown this, if you do this, this is going to work for you. You haven't been doing it, and this is why you're struggling right now. And the big one here for me, like what I always liked about Max Domi is that competitive drive. When he is pushing, as you said, being physical, when he's being a bit of a pain in the rear, that's when he's at his best. Now, I'm not asking the guy to be a point for game player because you can't be a point for game player on the fourth line. It's just not a reality, right? He's not going to get top power play unit opportunities. So I think for me, that's probably where I'm at with Max Domi right now. Is he's not. Yes, the opportunities haven't exactly been there consistently for him, but for me, that's not it. It's the fact that he hasn't put himself in those opportunities, and the only reason why he's gotten a bump up recently is because of the injuries.
I go back to what I said to you not too long ago about guys being in the right position in his lineup. And for me, I think his position, if he's playing his game and doing what I just said he should be doing, line 3 is where he needs to be. Playing any higher up in the lineup, it's too much. And then he starts thinking, I have to do this. I have to do that. I got to be more offensive. I got to make something happen here. If you're on the third line and you're playing about 10 to 15 minutes a night, if that right there is the window he should be in. And that also allows him not to be on the ice against certain players either. Some of the better players. So that's where Domi needs to be. But again, I go back to it. If a team offered me something that was of value for him, I'd do it.
Yeah. Well, we will see if Max Domi and the Leafs can rebound. It is a original 6 battle against the Montreal Canadiens. We'll discuss that matchup plus a few injury notes from an informal skate on Friday. We'll see if anybody could potentially be inching closer, or are there players who are maybe further away from coming back than we expected. We'll discuss that next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. When it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms or in-person appointments. It prescribes your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. This process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NHL is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to third period comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps your every game exciting, especially when your team is making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is offering customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins for any new customer. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Well, welcome you all back here to the Locked On Leafs podcast. I want to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. And some of you maybe are getting us a little later than usual, but that's okay because we are going to be previewing the game now that really matters. And we're also doing it here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It is the number one rated sports podcast network in North America. So I want to thank you all for making us the number one in this great continent. The Leafs now have the Montreal Canadiens in the Bell Center. So we know that game is going to have a little bit of juice. It's going to be, a pretty emotional charged atmosphere, but it's also a game of two teams that have really, really struggled. Montreal, everyone was like, look at the juggernauts they are. And I said, and many people who asked me, oh, what do you think of the Canadiens? It's just, they're getting some pretty good things that are happening with some of their young guys. Cole Caulfield, right? You have Hudson, Lane Hudson there. You've got Davidov. So many top end young talent that's coming through. But as we've seen, Nick Suzuki as well. How can I forget about him? Putting himself in the position maybe for Team Canada. But I said, hold the phone on the Canadiens. Just not there yet. Blue line's been banged up. Injuries have hit them right now. And also their goaltending has been sacré bleu. Pas bon. C'est pas bon in la Belle Province right now. Sam Montembeault, Mike and I talked to us. I don't know how this guy was in conversation with Team Canada because he's looked anything but. Lost his number one job to Dobbs, and he hasn't exactly been much better. Well, he's been better, but still not good enough for Montreal right now. This is a sort of game here where, the Montreal Canadiens for sure are going to want to make a statement against the Leafs because that's always the case when these two teams go up against each other. But if you're the Leafs, they have had such a struggle, Montreal, with their goaltending. This is a prime opportunity for a team that has had a lot of close games to maybe start showing a bit of, we can have a bit of a good offensive night right now and really push the pace.
It all depends on one thing. What the Maple Leafs decide to do with their lineup. Because if you're bringing in and augment it again and take out some of the energy guys that we just talked about, and you lump in Sammy Blais, who may be feeling better after coughing up blood, leaving the game previously this week. You start adding those players back in, it might be a long night. If you keep with the energy guys and keep riding those guys, I mean, come on. It's Saturday night. It's Montreal, Toronto in Montreal. It is going to be an absolute electric atmosphere. So all of the players are going to be excited. But the Maple Leafs, one thing they can do is they can shut that crowd down very quickly by scoring a quick goal, but also by laying the body a little bit on a team that's, like you said, a little banged up. There's a few players on that other side, though, that I really think can make a mark, and one guy who loves to, as long as he's healthy and ready to roll, and that's Josh Anderson. He loves to score against the Leafs, and he loves Saturday night games against the Maple Leafs. So does Cole Caulfield. Those are two guys that just love to score against Toronto. But for me, you have no Austin Matthews, but I tell you one player that will be ready and will score a goal tomorrow night. That will be Max Domi. We just talked about him. Former Hab, I think you're going to see a lot out of him, but in a fun way because he knows how to push some buttons with those guys on the team.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I will there's one thing I wanted to bring up, obviously, just a few injury updates. Both Matthew Nyes and Austin Matthews were practicing, but no updates in terms of their status, so they're considered to be doubtful to come back on Saturday. Anthony Solis yet to be back on the ice. Carlo has not been on the ice. Brewer base hoping he is back on Monday. Nicolas Waugh still a ways away. No timeline for him, and Tanner remains long term. So it looks like just nothing. You don't expect any changes to the lineup, and frankly, I don't think there should be any changes to the lineup because Sammy Blais ain't making much of a difference when you look at the way things have been going.
There's only one player I would like to see, and I understand that Mermis scored a goal and Stetcher has looked half decent, in his filling in role here for Myers and whoever he may step in for as these guys come back. I want to see Henry Thrun. I do want to see him get a couple of games just because there was some excitement around picking him up after dropping off Reeves, and I want to see what he might be able to do. And if this guy can do anything serviceable, it's still an upgrade over Philip Myers. Sorry, Myers. For me, I hope you're never in a Maple Leafs uniform again unless we are completely and utterly down to our last scrap of the barrel. But I would rather see some other players come through and get a chance. And I've said this in multiple posts on X. This is the opportunity right now where you try those players, where you see what you throw against the wall and what sticks. For me right now, Quillan looks like he sticks. Cowan looks like he sticks. Robertson is looking like $1 million to me, looking every bit of the top 6 player that he should have been for years. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise. You'll find some of those guys. And like you said earlier, move off the veterans. So that way when guys do come back from injury that you want in your lineup, you can start to blend all those pieces together. And maybe you're chefing it up a little bit and the Leafs are making a meal as they're going on a run throughout the season and a run through the playoffs to win Lord Stanley's mug. Because that's what's happening. I don't care. Still happening.
Love the optimism. Love that it's still there for you because a lot of people are not even certain that this team's a playoff team. And look, we're getting to the critical point of the year where American Thanksgiving is kind of the time where
if you're teams, 4 points out.
So, you win a few games. Like, look, Montreal's a team where if you win a few games, you beat them, things start to look up for you, right? And look, the Atlantic Division right now, if you're expecting
a 4-point swing from the Maple Leafs right now to first in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So the doom and gloom kind of got to stop a little bit because if the Leafs would have got 2 points last night, per se, put themselves at 22 points, you win tomorrow night against Montreal, everybody else stays status quo, you're up tied with the Tampa Bay Lightning for second in the division. I know the game's in hand and all that other stuff. I'm just talking pure points right now because we're obviously not seeding anybody out at this point. But you're right there. So
yeah, it's not like the Western Conference where you got a few teams that barely gone, like St. Louis, Nashville, Calgary. Like you don't have those type of teams. This is a more competitive Eastern Conference, right? And look, yeah, the Leafs are right there. Yeah, you talk about a couple of games. If you win a couple of games here, and look, we've seen Montreal was looking like a for sure fire contender in that, in the East. And look, they have time to turn things around. Well, the good thing the Leafs do have here too is a little bit of time off. They play Saturday against Montreal. They don't play until next Wednesday against Columbus,
which they'll want to get their licks back in.
What's this thing with Columbus? I don't know. They do have a back-to-back coming up, but
his name is Adam Fantilli. That's the thing with Columbus.
Yeah.
He scores on us at will. Okay,
especially in Toronto. He loves playing in Toronto.
I made my hashtag prediction season video yesterday, and I said Adam Fantilli will be on the scoreboard. Book it.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. So we'll see how. I think the big thing is Montreal's speed is going to be something they're going to have to work with. They're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that speed, and we'll see how that kind of all turns out. James, any final thoughts before we get ourselves out of here?
No, looking forward to coming back on throughout the holiday season. I know there's always a couple spots, so hopefully my phone rings with the call and I'll be there. But I appreciate you as always. Everyone, always check out Locked On Leafs, your daily Maple Leafs podcast. Get on there.
Appreciate it, man. We appreciate you answering the call. We will discuss the Leafs game on the next episode on Monday. Mike should be back for that. We'll have to get him caught up on really, unfortunately, not many more wins than he probably would have liked while he was away. Only 3 games, though. So they could still end up with a winning record with Mike away. So we'll discuss the game against Montreal and a few other no's and no's. Hopefully some injury updates as well for the team. And make sure you go and subscribe to Locked On Leafs podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And make sure you're also subscribed to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, Locked On Leafs. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.